Welcome everyone. We're here to watch some more StarCraft II videos. Now, what we're gonna watch today is Legacy of the Void announcement. So this is Legacy of the Void closed beta, and there's some gameplay in it and them explaining how the game's gonna work. This one is a short one, it's 6 minutes, but there's also 3 more videos explaining in detail how Protoss, Terran, and Zerg are gonna work, all the new units and stuff like that. So we're gonna see how much has the game changed since initially, you know, what they announced. So let's look at the first one. Inappropriate for children. By the way, these videos have over 1.5 million views. I just want to say that 1.5 million views, guys. Is the sound good? Let me know.
Welcome to an overview of the initial phase of Legacy of the Void closed beta testing. We're psyched to stand on the cusp of the first public look at
Yeah, remember this when they got announced?
And wanted to give you a summary of what you can expect given the last few months of development. Much has changed since our reveal last November, and though we will not be able to cover all of it in this video, you can check out the companion blog posted on the StarCraft II website for a complete rundown. Let's take a look at what you'll see as we kick things off.
Man, like, look how great the trailers for StarCraft were. Imagine, too low? Okay, I'm gonna increase it a little bit. Imagine if we were getting updates like these all the time.
Archon mode will be available for testing out of the gate, and we're anxious to get your thoughts. This mode allows 2 players to control a single army at the same time, presenting an exciting new cooperative experience of StarCraft II. With the support of a friend, there is the potential to play at a capacity you would be incapable of alone. It's also a...
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to siege up tanks and get banelings dropped on top of you alone. You need an ally for that.
Great way to ease a friend into StarCraft who may have never played previously. Next, we have been experimenting with the game's economy system by adjusting the number of resources available at base locations. We are interested in providing a resource advantage to players willing to aggressively expand and defend their base count.
Read Zerg.
We have also increased the accuracy of units that are issued attack move commands in order to make them more reliable in combat.
Oh my god, I completely forgot about this. So in Heart of the Swarm, this was so annoying. So you would see a Widow Mine and you right click on it, but the units just get way too close, even though they have enough range. So this is, the top side is what would happen, and the bottom is when they fixed it. So you right click a unit and the unit just goes way closer than you should. Look, it was so annoying.
We have also increased the accuracy of units that are issued attack move commands in order to make them more reliable in combat. We look forward to seeing how this seemingly small change can positively affect both new players and veterans seeking a more consistent response from their army. Let's take a look at multiplayer unit changes for the Terran race.
Dude, I remember watching this. I was so hyped.
With the CYCLONE.
Man.
The CYCLONE is a ranged unit with the capability of locking on to a target and dealing high damage over a long duration. Both the affected unit and the CYCLONE can move during lock-on, but if the units move too far apart, the link is broken and the CYCLONE will stop dealing damage. The siege tank can now be picked up and dropped while remaining in siege mode. The increased opportunities to harass and micro with this unit is in line with our top legacy goals for Terran. Battlecruisers have been upgraded with the ability to teleport anywhere on the map without vision. We are working hard to design an additional unit for the Terran roster and are interested in collaborating with players testing Void to identify a suitable option that will round out the army.
Oh yeah, the Liberator.
Switching gears, let's take a look at it.
Man, I remember watching this, guys, when Legacy got announced. I was so hyped. I was like, oh my god, CYCLONE is like a mobile mech unit. Battlecruisers can teleport? And then you had the Tankivacs. I was like, oh, dude, I was so excited.
Few elements on the Zerg side. New to the Zerg is the Ravager, a ranged unit capable of dealing high area damage with its corrosive bile ability. This ability I remember, sorry for pausing this much, I remember when this got announced, Zergs were like, when are you ever gonna hit with the Ravager? Like, this unit is terrible. You're never gonna be able to hit anything with Ravagers. I remember every Zerg was like this. Like, oh, you're never, like, who's gonna have time to click on, like, force fields to break them and stuff? Like, that's not gonna be usable in a game. And now it's, like, used in every matchup. Being able to destroy Protoss force fields.
Because the bios haven't got changed at all.
Practically needs no introduction, the LURKER. The Lurker is back in action as a solid splash damage option with massive range, able to outdistance most units and all base defense structures. We've made some notable changes to current Zerg units, starting with the Corruptor. We have given the Corruptor a new ability, Caustic Spray, which deals channel damage against structures that increases over time. Looking at the Viper, we wanted to add an ability that would counter mass air unit strategies.
You sure did.
This ability places a damage over time effect on a targeted enemy air unit, dealing damage to it and any enemy units around it. If the targeted unit dies, the parasitic bomb will remain in play for its full duration, continuing to deal damage to any enemy air unit entering the targeted area. The Swarm Host will be filling a new role for Void, with significant changes that support harassment and mobility. Also, the Swarm Host's Locust can now be upgraded to fly in the late game.
In the late game.
Let's turn our attention to the venerable Protoss. Making its first public debut, we give you the Adept. The Adept is a ranged unit that deals damage to ground units only, and is also capable of sending out a shade of itself to a target location. This shade can't deal damage or be damaged, but can be movement controlled. While the shade is deploying, an Adept will function normally in combat. Then, after a set duration, the Adept will teleport to the location of its shade. Also,
you know what's funny? They show the gameplay of the unit, right? And Adept is exactly used like you just saw there, like drones running and units chasing Adept and stuff like that. Good job, Blizzard.
New in Legacy is the Disruptor. The Disruptor is a micro-intensive splash damage option that warps in at the robotics facility. This unit can go into...
Man, I actually don't remember this. Wait, what? I don't remember this part.
Normally teleport to... Also new in Legacy is the Disruptor.
Bro, look at that range. Look at that.
Splash damage option that warps in at the robotics
my
facility.
god.
This unit can go into an invulnerable energy form and after a short duration deal burst damage to all units around it.
That's so insane.
To kick off changes to current Protoss units, let's talk about the Warp Prism and the Immortal. The Warp Prism can now pick up units from a distance, while the Immortal has exchanged its Hardened Shield passive for an activated
people were
shield
mad
ability.
about this. The moment this got announced, people
The
were mad.
Oracle sports a new ability, Stasis Ward, that lays a trap.
Wait, Stasis
when
didn't
enemy
exist in
units
Heart of the
walk
Swarm?
nearby. An activated Stasis Ward will temporarily freeze a ground army.
Wait, what abilities did Oracle have in Heart of the Swarm? It had the thing to turn on so it becomes a detector? The damage? And what was the third one? Oh, it locked minerals, but that didn't go through. Wait, was that even in the game?
In time, preventing them from moving, attacking, or using abilities while simultaneously preventing them from taking damage. And lastly, the Tempest will no longer deal plus massive damage against air units. However, it has also received a new ability, Disintegration.
Oh, I remember this.
Disintegration allows the Tempest to dish out a high amount of damage against the target unit, but spread out over a very long period of time.
I remember this.
The changes coming with Legacy
that.
of the Void are a lot to take in. We truly think we've built a version of StarCraft II that is more fast-paced and exciting than ever before.
That's true.
Whether it is in the myriad of new micro options,
I don't know, exciting, but it is more faster paced than
the
ever.
possibility of pushing aggressive resource strategies on multiple bases. Legacy of the Void will be full of opportunities to showcase yourself as a player. It won't be long now, as we will begin issuing closed beta invites.
See, the thing is, I agree that they made... I'm going to open another video. I agree that they made, game more mobile and like, faster. But the continuous expanding, I get the idea behind it. But if you compare it to Zerg, Zerg and Protoss and Terran, Zerg is favored in that because they can defend the bases the easiest way possible. Okay, this is Legacy of the Void multiplayer update for Terran. So this is like 6-7 months after the video we just watched. These are like the specific changes to each race.
Hello and welcome to a multiplayer update for Legacy of the Void. In this video, we will be discussing both new additions and changes coming to the Terran race with the final installment of the StarCraft II trilogy. First up, let me introduce you to
Oh
the HERC.
god, I remember this
This
shit.
unit is anxious for a head-on fight. The HERC comes equipped with the ability to grapple onto targets at range.
Dude, I completely
and get up
forgot
close
about
and
this
personal.
unit.
Able to one-shot banelings while dishing out small...
Whoa, one-shotting banelings, poogers, dude.
adept against the Zergling Baneling composition. Keep in mind, though, that the HERC is unable to attack air and will have difficulty against larger Zerg ground units. Against Protoss, HERCs are particularly strong.
Dude, that was
due to
such
their
a
high
bad
health
unit.
and light armor. Nothing makes them happier than to jump in and break up a Protoss army. But it only
Kappa.
takes a few well-placed zealots to deal with the HERC squad, so prepare yourself to counter appropriately.
Dude, HERCs were terrible
Up next,
units.
meet the CYCLONE. This gal has a one-track mind, able to focus down units at range by targeting opponents.
They probably updated the model.
Locking onto them.
Wait,
and
so
dealing
shooting
damage on
faster.
move. The CYCLONE moves at the same speed as Stalkers, making them a solid
Wait,
choice
no
for
cooldown on the
establishing
lock-on?
control while picking off priority targets in the
Ah,
process.
Mothership Core. Rip.
If you intend to counter the CYCLONE, initiating combat swiftly and in force will work to your advantage. Moral of the story, if you're slow and big, you're gonna lose against the CYCLONE.
They changed the look of the Cyclone so many times.
However, there are always opportunities to
Man, I remember people were like, dude, it's killing ultras, this is broken, how are you ever gonna fight it?
ability. Alright, let's talk about changes coming to current units in the Terran roster.
Let's do it.
Starting with the Siege Tank. You can now pick up and drop tanks while they're in siege mode.
Man, I
We
missed
dig
that.
the idea of creating opportunities to harass with the Siege Tank that weren't previously possible. In general, we think providing more opportunities to control your army in masterful ways is an exciting way to push StarCraft II.
Too bad you removed
And
it.
now the big boy, the Thor. Thors will now be capable of self-repair. It's a pretty simple change. Use emergency repair to heal after combat, and you can bring...
Wait, why was this removed?
The only drawback is that repairing a unit will prevent it from both attacking and moving. There is a whole world of creative combat options.
Man, I remember this. Oh my god, I remember when I played, when I was testing. Like, you push in with the Thor's in front, and the moment they start getting attacked, you pop the shield, because they still draw aggro, like they're attacking, and they just like constantly heal as they're getting attacked. That was amazing. Like, I love watching these videos because I forget about so many of these changes, and then I see it, I'm like, oh wait, that was a thing.
Groups and rotate opportunities.
I wonder why they removed that. Like, it wasn't broken. Look how slow it
Banshees are
repairs.
another unit getting some attention with Legacy. We're interested in providing more opportunities to micro Banshees against ground units. So, we're implementing a speed upgrade available once you've built a fusion core. After acquiring the speed upgrade, Banshees will be
Please.
capable of running mobile protection units, even an upgraded Overseer or Observer. This makes the Banshee much better at surviving counter pressure that can come against harassment attempts. Alright, last but not least, let's talk battlecruisers. These iconic capital ships can now teleport anywhere on the map without vision. Keep in mind though, that using this ability will cost a lot of energy, so choosing when and where to move is
No more
incredibly
energy.
important. Clearly, there are opportunities where this call makes great sense, and when help is needed, you can get there almost instantly. That wraps up our summary of design changes coming to the Terran race with Legacy of the Void. Keep
Wait,
in mind
when did
that
Legacy of the Void come
everything
out?
is subject
Guys,
to change as we move into public testing.
okay, let's do, let's check the... When did Legacy of the Void come out? So this is November 7th, 2014. Late 2015? Really? They did these things this late? Or this early? So they scrapped HERC for Liberator, obviously. HERC was terrible, guys. Like, it just didn't do anything. I mean, like, it didn't... Like, it jumps in and it just dies. Like, it just gets focus fired because it, like, runs into the enemy army. It was really bad. HERC had, like... I remember there were, like, all-ins that people were trying to do versus Protoss, like HERC Marines or HERC Marauders. But that's it. Like, I've never seen anyone use it in an actual big army. It was terrible, you know?
Hello and welcome to a multiplayer
Alright, Zerg
update
now.
for Legacy of the Void. In this video, we will be
Bugs.
discussing additions and changes coming to the Zerg race in the exciting conclusion of the StarCraft II trilogy. First up, let me introduce you to the Ravager. This unit is a morph off of the Roach, a ranged unit that comes with a new ability, Corrosive Bile, that deals damage to a target area.
It looks cool.
corrosive bile marks a target location, and after a brief delay, units and structures in that area are hit.
Did they change how they look? They look pretty good here. I feel like they changed their legs, didn't they?
With high damage. This ability also has a powerful perk against Protoss. It can destroy force fields. In a PvZ matchup that includes Sentry versus Ravager, we anticipate a new contest of micro that presents opportunities to both gain and lose advantage.
They were right about that.
When paired with fungal growth,
Oof, they were right about that too.
Reliably damage air units.
I like the Ravagers the way they look there. They look really cool.
Corrosive bile is also particularly good against units with little to no mobility.
Why don't you pick up the things in a medevac,
Avoid
noob?
damage from corrosive bile. Simply make sure you dodge reactively whenever possible. For those of you that have been around StarCraft since Brood War, this unit hardly needs an introduction.
Lurker.
The Lurker.
People were so hyped about Lurker. Oh my god. And I love how they're using it against Terran Bio, and it's never used against Terran Bio. It's always against Protoss or ZVZ. Like, it's never used against Terran Bio. But in Brood War, it was coolest when you used against Terran Bio, because you just pop like all the Marines.
Massive splash damage. They also serve as a ranged siege option capable of outdistancing most units and all base defense structures. For Terran, countering the Lurker can be accomplished with the recently added Cyclone. To learn more about the Cyclone, be sure to check out our Terran update video.
And Lurkers are huge, Jesus.
Of course, familiar micro moves from Brood War can also be used to take on the Lurker.
Never, literally never gets used ever.
Seeing these guys back in action.
I feel like Lurker failed
current roster of
in what they wanted it to do.
Starting with the Corruptor. We're adding a new ability to the Corruptor called Caustic
Ping.
Spray
Oh, yeah.
that deals damage to ground units and structures.
Look at this noob
This
Zerg,
damage
dude. Like,
ramps
come on,
up
don't
over
do it in
time,
the cannon
making it a
range.
strong choice against buildings.
I remember watching that, and I was like, did 3 Corruptors just kill a Nexus in like 8 seconds? I was like, is that real? And I remember discussing with people who were like, that has to be a mistake. Like, that Nexus had to be like red health or like no health. Oh yeah, you could pee on units too.
Ideal against a mobile ground army, damage is damage, and in a tight matchup, every bit you can deal works to your favor. Next up, let's talk about the Infestor. We're giving the Infestor a new ability called Aggressive Mutation that grants a
yes!
buff to friendly units.
It's Frenzy.
That means your basic Zerglings
forgot about that.
even more powerful against enemies that would have taken them out previously.
That's right.
In Legacy of the Void, the Swarm Host is going to be taking a bit more of an aggressive role when it comes to harassment. We have made the Swarm Host
Zilnaga Caverns
stronger while lowering the frequency with which they can spawn. The Swarm Host will also be able to spawn Locusts while on the move, and upgrade them to fly in the late game.
Yeah, what happened to upgrading
Swarm
them?
Host will not be a viable strategy in Legacy, as the downtime between Locusts
Wait, what did he say?
while on the move, and upgrade them to fly in the late game.
Uh-huh.
Keep in mind that massing Swarm Host will not be a viable strategy in Legacy.
Wait, what did you say?
To fly in the late game. Keep in mind that massing Swarm Host will not be a viable strategy in Legacy, as the downtime between Swarm Host will not be a viable strategy in Legacy, as the downtime between Locust spawns has been increased to a point that your Swarm Host army will be easily overrun. Of course, you can harass enemy bases with this new change as well. And finally, I want to talk to you about the changes coming to the NYDUS. NYDUS worms can no longer be damaged while emerging. This makes the NYDUS worm a more reliable option for drop harassment. In late game situations where both sides have a lot of resources, the Zerg player can now force engagements.
These kinds of things, like, when I see these kinds of trailers, I don't know why, they're like supposed to be cool, but they trigger me. Like, I don't know why, I just get triggered. This is such an unrealistic, stupid situation, and I know you're supposed to show off like cool ways to use it, but like, no one's gonna be like, oh man, there's a Protoss behind a wall. Let me put 4 NYDUSes right behind him. Like, no, just fucking NYDUS the main and kill everything there, you know? Like, I don't know why. It triggers me every time when I see stuff like this. Because it's like, alright, dude. Like,
engagements at strategic
no.
locations.
Okay. Never. And then Ultras come out. Like, out of all things, Ultras come out versus like only Immortals. Come on, man.
That concludes the updates currently on the table for Zerg in Legacy of the Void.
Okay, let's look at the Protoss
Keep
one.
in mind that everything is subject to...
Let's look at the Protoss one. This is the last one. It's funny how there's some like things that I completely forgot about. The Zerg Frenzy, the Infestors Frenzy.
Hello and welcome to a multiplayer update for Legacy of the Void.
For
In this video,
Protoss.
we will be discussing additions and changes coming to the Protoss race in the thrilling conclusion to the StarCraft II trilogy. Let's get to it. New to the Protoss arsenal is the Disruptor, a micro-intensive splash damage option that can warp in at the robotics facility. This unit can go into an invulnerable energy form and after a short duration, deal...
Like, okay, that's clearly broken, right? Clearly, look at how... But that looks so cool. Like, look how cool that looks.
Can go into an invulnerable
Look at that.
energy form and after a short duration, deal burst damage to all units around it. Micro is key to defense against the Disruptor. Otherwise, you will take massive damage. Then again, some units just deal with it. But if you can effectively micro your units to counter, you'll be able to take the Disruptor out. Now to the big guns, the Immortal.
The thing is, like, if they had those Disruptors in game, I mean, it seems very OP, right? Let's be honest, that seems like super broken because the range is huge. But if you miss, you lose the Disruptor, right? Because they're teleporting with the ability. But I do think it's like broken because the range is huge. But I think like if they made it so that they're like if you shoot from here, that the range is not like all the way to here, but like maybe halfway, would be like more balanced. But I don't know. I'm pretty sure it'd be broken as hell. But it looks really cool. I gotta say that. Like it looks really cool.
Moving the Hardened Shield passive and adding an active ability that absorbs damage for a short duration. Changing up the Immortal's defense in this manner.
Active ability that Protoss players
for
never
micro
use.
on both sides
They
of
just
the
have it
fight.
on auto.
In a perfect engagement, Immortals now have the potential to stand against units that typically deal well with them. With these changes, Immortals will still be effective against units like the Siege Tank without being such a hard counter. Previously, an
Yeah,
engagement
it's
like
definitely
this
not
one,
a hard
no
counter.
Immortals would have been
3
lost.
Mortals stacked up went against the rampant
The
one.
Warp Prism. This unit is getting some love with the ability to pick up other units from a distance. This change will also allow the Warp Prism to rescue critical units during engagements. We expect that with this change, we will see Drop Micro become a more core part of Protoss harassment. There are a few changes on
So they wanted it to be a core part of Protoss harassment, and instead it turned into Protoss all-inning and just microing the Immortals back. I mean, people did and still do harass sometimes with the Prism, but it's most of the time just used in like all-ins to juggle your units.
the table for the Oracle. First, we are combining Revelation with Envision. Now, cloaked units hit by Revelation are also revealed. This change combines the two similar abilities while opening up a new
That was a
method of
good change, I
detection
think.
in situations where observers aren't the best option. We've also added a new ability to the Oracle called Stasis Ward. This is a trap set by an Oracle that is triggered when enemy units
It looks
walk
different.
nearby, causing them to enter a stasis state.
But it looks
They can
cooler
no longer
there, I
attack,
think.
Move, use abilities, or
Whoa.
take damage. Undetected stasis wards at key locations have the potential to keep an enemy army at bay for significant periods of time. The Tempest has now been redesigned
It looks
to only
cooler.
attack ground units, while also getting a significant buff.
They
to
did
its
so
movement
many
speed.
changes to the Tempest.
Alongside this, we have added a new ability to the Tempest called Disintegration.
Oh yeah, you
that
couldn't
allows it to
attack
deal
air,
high,
but you could cast
single-target
ability on the air
damage
units.
over a long period of time. As you can see in this example, units tagged with Disintegration can either sit passively and die, or move out to do whatever damage they can before expiring. Lastly,
But it dealt, I remember it dealt some ridiculous, it dealt like 400 damage. I can't remember the exact number, but I know it was like, it was killing whatever unit it casted on, it like killed it. Except like Thor, I think, and like big HP units. 500 over 60 seconds. Yeah, it was a lot. Like, I know it was a lot of damage, and it was like, you know, it obviously took a very long time, but, you know, But I think overall, for multiplayer, realistically, it was probably a bad ability because the range of it was like 7-8. So, like, if you cast it, like, you're gonna get killed by Vikings or Infestors or Corruptors or whatever.
Changes have arrived to the carrier. Interceptors can now be deployed to fight at a specific target area, allowing the opportunity to deal damage with the unit in multiple locations. You can now strategize ways to get maximum damage out of the unit at any moment. That concludes...
Wait, is that still in the game when you lose the carrier for interceptors to still be there? That's a cool thing, though. Look, the carriers died, but the interceptors still fight.
That concludes
this was really cool.
Changes on the table for the venerable Protoss race. Keep in mind that everything is subject to change as we move into public testing. That being said, we are pumped for the new options open to Protoss players in Legacy of the Void. And of course, look forward to hearing your thoughts and feedback as well.
Let me see if I can find this.
And be sure to check.
Let me see. Legacy of the Void units. Let me see if I can find. I don't think there's like an actual announcement showcasing all the units. I think that was the last official Blizzard thing that they announced regarding units. Like, honestly, it didn't change much, I guess. I mean, you know, swarm hosts, you know. I remember the Infestors Frenzy ability now that I saw it. It was used. I remember people would use it with Zerglings because it was like a microbial shroud. You just put it on the ground. Well, it didn't stay on the ground, but you could get Zerglings, like a lot of Zerglings buffed at the same time because they take, you know, small space when they're standing. And I remember people were like playing Mass Sling Infestor for a while, and like when the, you know, tests were being done and stuff like that. I gotta say the Disruptors looked really cool. They were probably broken as hell, but they look really nice. Tempest got changed so many times. To attacking air, to countering ground, to having an ability, to adding damage versus massive, to removing damage versus massive. He went through so many changes. And HERC was a terrible unit. Just never, that was a terrible unit. Cyclones as well, yeah, Cyclones as well. Because in this one, you saw that the Cyclone had no cooldown on lock-on. It would like lock on, and then it would lock on again right after. Tankivax, dude, I miss Tankivax. I know a lot of people said that they hated it in TVT, but I didn't think there was a lot of issues in TVT at all. Because people complained that they were broken for Doom drops. But I feel like if anything, Doom drops were less of a problem, because if you get Doom dropped, first of all, they can't lift up their tanks and Marines if they're lifting up the tanks, right? So they wouldn't have enough medevacs. And then another thing is, if they siege up, then you can pick up your tanks and defend easier, much easier. Now, the whole Doom drop, I mean, you guys probably noticed, Doom dropping in TVT was like the meta since Wings of Liberty, Heart of the Swarm, in early Legacy, but it stopped because of Ravens, because of Interference Matrix. Because now if you get Doom dropped, you just disable the tanks and kill the Terran, because you're going to have more units because you're in your own main base. So Doom drops are not really a thing. I wish they bring back the Tankivax though. I think they would work well in this meta, because people complain the most about TVT. It is what it is, boys. And the Thor repair ability, man, that would be so good for Thor. Feels bad. Anyway, I would love to hear your guys' opinion, whether you're watching on YouTube or Twitch. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a like. If we have 23 likes, I will keep playing StarCraft II. Thank you guys for watching if you're watching this on YouTube, and as well as you guys on Twitch. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, great morning, great night, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with another video. For you guys on Twitch, I'll see you in 4 days.